Town of Eatonville's regular council meeting. Mrs. King, would you please verify quorum?
Yes, Councilwoman Randolph.
Here.
Councilman Matt.
Here.
Councilman Daniels.
Vote.
Vice Mayor Washington.
Here.
And Mayor Gardner.
Here. Please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we thank you once again for another day that you have made. So now we are rejoiced and be glad. Thank you for this opportunity that you give us to live, move, and have our being. Thank you again for this community even there that you have placed us in to be stewards. We continue to lift up this representation of this community, the leadership that you placed here, mayor and councilman and those that represent this community professionally. Pray that you continue to bless them with discretion and determination and wisdom and knowledge to make decisions that would be beneficial and advantageous for this community. We pray for this residents of this community that you continue to bless us to respect each other's personalities and properties. Again, we thank you for this town council meeting where we can be further educated and updated on the state and the welfare of our community. We ask you for your continued blessings upon Eatonville, that you continue to bless and keep it, cause your face to shine upon and be gracious unto it. We thank you for everything that you're doing in, to, and for it. And again, we ask you all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is the approval. Is there a motion?
Second.
All right, so it's been motion and seconded, but I do ask that that under consent agenda, the advertised job position be moved down to council decisions. I have a question. And with that being said, it's been moved and seconded with that one change. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Citizen participation.
We have none.
All right. So the first item is the public hearing, approval of second reading of ordinance 2024-7. Ms. King, preamble, please.
Ordinance number 2024-7, an ordinance of the town of Eatonville, Florida, relating to the prohibition of certain conduct in public places, amending chapter 26, miscellaneous offenses of the town code to prohibit unauthorized camping on public property and rights of way, public nudity, indecent exposure, public urination, and defecation, providing for enforcement, procedures, and penalties, providing for codification, conflicts, severability, and effective date.
You have heard the preamble. This item is now open for public comments. Seeing that there are no public comments, it is now closed to public comments. Is there a motion? Thank you. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right. Second reading of ordinance 2024-7 has passed. Approval of first reading of ordinance 2024-9. Ms. King.
Ordinance number 2024-9, an ordinance of the town of Eatonville, Florida, amending chapter 30, solid waste of the town code by revising the enclosure requirements for commercial solid waste containers, providing the town planning director with the authority to waive commercial container enclosure requirements in limited circumstances, establishing procedures for the administrative waiver of commercial containers enclosure requirements, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
You've heard the preamble read. This item is now open for public comments.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And I apologize. So am I hearing that is to allow staff to make a unilateral determination and waive the requirements of what is currently in the code?
Yes, and given the circumstances, whatever the circumstances are.
So how do we ensure, because what we oftentimes will hear in the community, escapes me.
That's not
Preferential treatment. What is placed in the, and I apologize, I haven't read it in detail, but this is just the first hearing. But ensuring that there is no preferential treatment by allowing there to be that unilateral decision by staff.
So if I may, counsel.
Wait, you want to finish out your minutes? Just,
I'm sorry, you're right. I was thinking this book.
yeah, finish out your minutes and then.
And I am going to do something that I know is out of order. Because I was running late on the doctor's appointment. The public comment, I would, encourage you guys to look at that budget amendment. Looks like you're requesting an hourly rate from about $16 up to now $30, $34. I wanted to make sure I got that in as well. Thanks.
All right, any other comments? All right, we now close the floor for any public comments. We'll address it in the second. All right, so is there a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-9? So I move that we approve ordinance 2024-9. Is there a second?
I second the questions.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded.
Sorry.
Let Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Presley address the question earlier, and then I'll go to you, Councilman.
All right, so Mr. Cobbin come up as well, along with Mr. Baruti. So several things with this. If you remember, this was originated from when we started the code enforcement. And when we did that, we noticed that there were certain enclosures that would have to have some changes. But with the current, the way the ordinance was written, we had no flexibility to make the adjustment based off one, spacing, likability of what happens and if it actually required it. And so what we had our attorneys do is relook at this to give us only the flexibility not to stop the enclosure, but to make sure the right method was used for the enclosure. And that's what this gives them. This doesn't give them to say, oh, yes, this one can do it and this one can't. This only gives them the ability to say how it's done based off location, size of property, size of the land, and what's feasible. So I think for clarity, it's not, this gives them just something to make the decision out in the field, how to get that enclosure in, not on whether it should be or not. If I'm saying that right, Cliff, you can correct me from that. I think that's.
Trying to look at the copy of the ordinance now so I can get it to you and remember. But I reviewed this specifically myself.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it, but I'm looking to see if I can find a copy.
So again, so it's not to say if does it need it or don't need it. It's just saying how that enclosure is installed, because what it was before, it only had one way and there was no other alternatives. And that's why I believe we had a meeting where almost 5 or 6 commercial businesses came to the meeting. This was back in the spring. They came to a meeting and there were some complaints because it was like, well, we don't have the land to do this, or we don't have the space and yada, yada. And so this gave the flexibility. And one other thing I want to caveat. So when we started looking at whether some of these properties, what if we put the 96 gallon roll-offs or the coders there? The hauler at the time, and this is probably most haulers, they didn't want to be the one to make that decision. They wanted that to be a decision that came from the town, or they were not willing to give clearance on that, if I remember that correctly, Mr. Cobbin, right?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to give you a history before we take the comments. Maybe we may ask the question, but just wanted to make sure we give you the history and why we landed where we landed.
To the mayor council on the new ordinance, the metrics for that will be, we won't be making a decision based on, our determination. The service provider, whoever that is, whoever we're contracting with at that time, based on their capabilities, the size of their trucks, the overhead clearance they need, the backup space they need, all of those things. And as we may change service providers from, from time to time, that's why it's not written into the ordinance, but the ordinance, the proposed ordinance will give us the flexibility because the current ordinance says commercial sites shall have this, period. And there's no flexibility. Proposed ordinance will give us the flexibility to say, okay, what are the conditions for this site? We can make a determination on giving some relief for sites that are not able to achieve that. But it won't be arbitrary.
Right.
It will be based on whatever service provider their capabilities are.
There are standards that are spelled out here, which I'll go through and read for you. Let me first tell you that I remember one of the changes that I made was that it was initially set up in a way that was, and again, I don't know whether that was already there or whether it was being suggested, and I said, no, that's not gonna work. But it was originally, when I got it, it was written so that it was people who were already not in compliance were the ones that got an opportunity for a waiver. And that makes zero sense to me. So I took that out because obviously, if they're already not in compliance, that's a code violation. It's not like, it's like people who are saying, I've already committed the sin, but forgive me, before Jesus, yes, but not in front of code enforcement, okay? So the whole idea is if you're going to do something different than the code, you ask for permission, you don't go ahead and commit the sin and hope for forgiveness. So I took that out. So now it essentially applies to the developments that are coming in, new, old, doesn't matter. If there's an issue, there's some discretion, but it's limited because as it currently reads, the word for commercial containers is shall be located along a concrete pad in an area measuring 12 by 12. The enclosure shall be constructed by a concrete masonry walls and a whole bunch of other things. That's how it reads. Here's what the waiver section says. That the planning director or their designee shall possess the authority to waive the enclosure requirements provided in subsection A and approve an alternate enclosure design. So it's not that they don't get no enclosure, it's an alternate design where, due to the unique physical layout of the property, compliance with enclosure requirements would result in significant increase in nonconformity with existing site conditions. So if you had a super small area, but you had to have this massive dumpster that would overpower the site, or create a problem with parking on the site because it's now taking up parking space or whatever it might be, there was an ability of the planning director based on what is assessed on the site to make a change. It says, again, it's due to the unique physical layout of the property, so that's a standard. Compliance with the enclosure requirements would result in significant increase of nonconformity with the of existing site conditions. So, for example, if the site is supposed to have a certain setback from the side yard, but in order to put in the dumpster, you'd have to violate the setback because there's no room to put one anywhere else. And with the enclosure, that's an example of something that they could look at now and take into consideration regarding size and how it would be enclosed. Also, waiver shall only be granted after thorough review of specific circumstances and determination that the proposed waiver will not adversely impact the overall aesthetics, health, safety, and welfare of the community. I tell you what my thought was when this is written. Their thoughts may differ. Obviously, I'm not the planning director, but example, if a dumpster is facing a roadway or a highway or something where the public can easily see it, that's one set of facts. And if it's facing away from a highway or where neighbors have to look at it, the enclosure might be able to be different than it would be otherwise, and so forth. All waiver requests must be submitted in writing, accompanied by a non-refundable waiver fee. Evaluating the request, the planning director or their designee must consider the following factors: the extent to which the property's layout makes it difficult or impractical to comply with the enclosure requirements, the potential impact of the waiver on existing zoning regulations, land use plans, and other site conditions, the potential effects of the waiver on the aesthetics, health, safety, and welfare of the community, and the availability and feasibility of alternative methods for managing waste that would comply with the enclosure requirements. So those are the standards. To your point, Johnson, the idea is that these standards are not as concrete as it shall be 12 by 12 and it shall be concrete masonry, it shall be this, but it is a standard which a reasonable planning director and or his or her designee should be able to use and say, this qualifies and this doesn't. But again, I couldn't argue with you. You said, well, that still seems random. Yeah, that's why you hire competent people to do the job.
Council.
I also support this document because I mean, years and years I've been talking about dumpster on the front streets, house, cracking sidewalks, it's invading people property. There's a big trucks going on that property. I went to the daycare next to the Chambers building, and you can see that then when the trucks come in at, it dips down on their property. So it's doing infrastructure damage to their property. I always said, if they don't meet the criteria, remove these things and give them roadways, period. There's no favor, whatever. If they don't have the closure, let's not do it, period. So we sit there and talk about waiving something because we want A to get one, B not to get one. No, if they don't have the closure, don't give them that dumpster. Just give them a residential, and they could be charged commercial because they're commercial building, but not give them a dumpster. Because I know a company on this building on Washington Street. I rode by the Monday. I was like, how does guy have a dumpster? And he don't have it. About and it's the front of the building.
Yeah.
So I complained about that. And I went to somebody and said, "Who ordered that?" And he said he called himself. Now you sit over there and said the town give those out to the sites, commercial sites. So we need to get this on the wrap that if a company come here and want a dumpster, and they don't have it 4 walls in the cement plat, they don't get one. Period. Give them 4 rollways, whatever equal amounts, that little dumpster they have, so 1 yard, what they call them, give them the equivalent to that size there. Let's start getting people these dumpsters on our front streets. And as we speak today, we need to be trying to remove those. That is not waiving anything. I don't support no waiver, whoever it is. So that's what I support. Thank you.
I have a comment.
Councilman.
I agree with Councilman Washington. It is an eyesore when you see these dumpsters along Kennedy Boulevard. And just like Mad Crab, they use 3, maybe 4. I think 3, 4. They use 4. So they don't have the property because the building it sits on line to line. So they have no parameters for anything. You got a couple more businesses in the same way. So I agree, we need to, I don't see the process in waiving a whole lot, other than we're gonna waive, okay, you don't have the property, you don't have the space. Well, equivalent to a dumpster, you get 3 or 4 or whatever, but you're still gonna be charged the commercial rate. I think that's very fair.
That's it.
Yeah,
Is that
that's it, yes.
Council?
Yes, I was still, it's been a stickler of Councilman Washington, and, you see the trash cans on Front Street, so what are we doing? We have that store. And I saw the dumps as well, and I knew he was gonna blow a gasket when I saw it. I'm saying, how we as an administration allow that to happen without saying, okay, we can give you the roadways. If not, you can't put it in the back there somehow. And my main question is, how did we as administration allow that to happen? That should be one of the things we should be, as far as just checking out and saying we can't give you this, but we give you a business license, but we can't let you get a dumpster on the street. So, and what are we gonna do about the businesses that have them already, like that store, for instance, and then one that has them on Front Street? So that was just my question for the planner and the code enforcement.
From Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, I kind of piggyback on what Vice Mayor had stated in terms of just being an eyesore for the community. But I do understand necessarily requirements that some businesses need to facilitate and put all the trash or waste in the larger bins. I'm definitely not in favor of them being posted up in front of the buildings, especially going up and down Kennedy Boulevard. It's not a good look for the community, because I can tell you in other municipalities or other cities, you will not see that. And I'm pretty sure we all traveled and seen different cities, and you will never see, at least what I've experienced, something of this nature right here. So I know it's something that we've been tug of war with for quite some time now. We've been kind of straddling the fence on which direction we need to go in terms of trying to rectify the situation, in terms of just coming up with some kind of
conclusion to, make it work for the businesses as well as the town. So, I know you guys have a tough job and I do appreciate what you guys do on a daily basis. I'm definitely, in favor of what Vice Mayor had, spoke on in terms of just going through logistics of properly, doing things that's gonna make sense. And what we're discovering now on Kennedy just doesn't make sense, so I'm definitely not in favor of, doing anything to, suggest otherwise, so that's my take on that. So hopefully we can get to a better place.
On the back up on it,
You're done,
Yes, I.
okay.
back up on that there too. This might cause some of our infrastructure to be damaged underground because these trucks are so heavy with the trash and they're already, how many tons they are, or whatever they are, and plus the trash and it's more. So crossing about sidewalks, going to get that dumpster over there is infrastructure, water lines, whatever, crossing, they doing every Tuesday, Thursday, every time they come here. So that's another reason why I support to have these dumpsters cross our sidewalks. Because cracking sidewalks, that's the first thing. Number two, infrastructure under. Because I know we had a couple of them bus water lines, those trucks bus water lines. So that's one of the main reasons that we need to not have these dumpsters cross our sidewalks.
Council.
Do we have any businesses that will be able to take dumpsters, take the rollaway,
Yes.
they meet the criteria, so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, Councilman Washington, that we wanna allow businesses to have the access for that, can our trucks damage our, stuff, if they weren't able to do it, they wouldn't allow them in the town, so. We do have some businesses that are, the concrete is able to support the weight of the trucks and everything, right?
Which one?
Okay,
So which one? Tell us one.
I'm just saying, they, okay.
Which one's got it enclosed?
Kennedy Commerce Center.
Strictly question out.
Soul Food Fantasy. They are putting them in, they're currently putting those in.
In the back. In the back.
She said the bank.
The back, okay.
The credit card.
Yes. That's always that. See, that was that.
So for clarity, just two things. One is more of enforcement and the other one is more of administration and what I'm hearing is, and I want to be clear, this amendment is needed to assist with code enforcement ability to enforce. Because without it, so I don't know if you all remember when we had that meeting, they came in and saying, well, they saying I gotta do this, and this just doesn't make sense. What this ordinance does give them the ability to not to waive them from fixing it, but just to find the right fix.
Okay.
So what this ordinance doing, what Vice Mayor is, is saying, okay, let's just go ahead and just do what needs to be done, which is two different things. And we can do what needs to be done, but this ordinance is also needed in order to deal with some of the code enforcement issues we have to now start to enforce. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Gotcha.
Wait, one moment.
Go ahead.
It's Councilman Daniels.
So, code enforcement and planning. To start off, you gotta have a certain amount of square footage to put the can on, right? Starting off.
Yes.
So one of our ways of eliminating businesses is that you don't have the square footage to put the concrete, to put the thing on, then you can't get it in. Am I right about that? So that should be one of the ones. So to go to the next step, or you can put the concrete down, put that, maybe get dark, now you gotta enclose it. And so we're saying with a fence or some type of material to enclose, right? So that's two. So if they meet all those criteria, they're able to get a can, right?
Right.
Okay.
I support it. I'm not arguing that point.
I understand.
I'm saying on the ones we have now on the front street, they don't meet it.
And that's what I'm saying, as far as that, this gives us, say, we can go out right now. Some of them may still require a dumpster, and we gotta figure out how to do that. Then the other ones that don't, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying the other ones that you're saying that don't, we're just gonna make that decision internally, say, okay, let's go with cans here.
You go with cans until they put their enclosures there. Once that don't happen.
But that's what I'm saying. I agree. I'm just saying we still need that this ordinance in order to help code enforcement when they have to enforce those that don't want to comply.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
What's on the books now?
So is that gonna be something that we move forward with doing? Cause I know in the past, we've talked about a lot of things
Mhm.
that we haven't done or perhaps taken care of. And the necessary, getting and, position to do things right. And here we are again with the ordinance, which, like I said, though, if we can move forward with doing something, if we're gonna, make sure that we're doing it, yeah, we shouldn't have a problem with doing it, but if we're gonna pass an ordinance, it's gonna be the same old, same old. You know what I'm saying? Why even go through the theory of doing it? So I believe and trust in you guys that you will enforce whatever it is that we need to be enforced to meet all the criteria to get the particular, trash bin or what have you, that is necessary for that, particular business. But we don't wanna sit here and continue riding down Kennedy and passing this. I know this is the first reading, and then we get to the conclusion of having it passed, and we're still seeing a continuation of the same thing. That's what I don't wanna, run into. I don't wanna be derailed by that. So if we're gonna, like I said, not to undermine you guys or say that you're not gonna do your jobs, but we definitely need to make sure that we're enforcing it. Because we haven't really been enforcing a lot of things in this community, if you ask me personally, in terms of just, things being, out of regulation. So I think we just need to do a better job in doing that also. But with this particular item right here, I'm really in favor of this panel, if it's something I know, Mr. President has spoken on. We gotta get through the phase first, and then the second one, and then we can perhaps move forward with, doing all the necessary things that we need to do. But if we're not gonna do that, I don't wanna sit here and tie my hands and pass something that is gonna continue just being a problem. I don't wanna do that. That makes sense to you, Mr. Rudy?
I may be saying something that you all have already said, but when you said, Mr. President, the right fits, we have to make sure that we have some standards, because we don't want business owners to come up with their own. Everyone will have a different way of how they interpret how they should have it fixed. So we don't want people having all different kinds of things up there, and it's not really something that should be approved for them to have. So we have to come up with some standards.
Well, there are standards, and
Yes.
that's what we're giving them options to choose from which standard to go. But again, when they submit, say they move forward, they say, well, we want to look at this waiver, can we do this per this ordinance? It would require them to submit it in writing, and it also has to be reviewed by the planning director or the designee, and they'll look at the factors, which I believe Mr. Cotton was just stating in regards to, is it the proper distance? Does it have the proper turn radius? Is there power lines? All those things to determine what's the best fix. So it won't just be like, oh, just whatever option they want to do, we go with. We'll review what they're saying, and then that'll give planning and code enforcement to go back and look at it and say, hey, no, we think this is going to be the best fit based off here of some of the options of cases that have happened like this. So just for clarity, it won't just be them just saying this is what we want to do, and we just saying, oh, okay to.
They already did that. They're already doing that. They're okay with it. They're already doing this to us.
I'm
They're already doing this to us. What they got going on now. Yeah. They got dumpsters sitting where they're supposed to be right now to this day. Out of conformance. Out of compliance, whatever. So they're doing what they want. We haven't enforced what we're supposed to enforce from day one to get the dumpsters. And I'm not sincere to say I'm gonna waive this enclosure requirement on this document. I don't want no waivers. You build a building, you put the correct things, the same thing I rushed the straight request down there. Y'all told them you had to do this and do that here. They did those things and they met everything. If every other business coming, that business just opened up down there, that shed, he got a dumpster, he ain't met nothing, he ain't met that. I don't know how we gave him a CO, but he didn't do anything there. And we give him a dumpster sitting in front of it. But we get somebody that come in here, spend millions of dollars, and give them a hard time to make sure they got this, they got that. They couldn't put dirt on their property. They was trying to find a flat to build. So my thing is, these people are already getting away with it because they don't meet the criteria now for it.
And we identified all the ones in the town back in May, but the problem was, if I just want to bring for clarity, when we met, we were ready to proceed forward. We had a whole meeting where all of them came in, and the council said, no, y'all go back, and this is what the council asked us to do, to go back and put an amendment in to give the proper you know, the suitable option for the different business owner to choose from. Because what we had prior didn't give them any options, gave them one option and that was it.
That's what this should be
I
now.
understand, but I'm just letting you know the council came and said to us, go forward with this here, and that was a consensus from you all. You may have differed since the council said, let's see.
Yeah, we've been dealing with this for quite
The
some
thing
time.
is that if they don't meet that criteria to put their enclosure in, and like I talked to the planners before, they need to remove them. We can't do that. We just can't go and do that. But who the city? We the city or they the city? Because they tell us, oh, I heard talk to one owner, he wanted his move. He wanted his move because he want 4 rollerways. That's what he want. So I know it's easy to do because they don't meet they're out of compliance.
If I may, Councilman, at this time, under the current ordinance, we have no right to tell them it's okay to use something else.
What's okay, Attorney, what is the right or wrong for the city? If they are compliant, what should be done?
Well, there's a couple of different things here. So if, and this is what I was trying to reference before, the way this thing is crafted when I saw it, it essentially was, the waiver was applicable to people who are already out of compliance, and I'm not down with that either. And that's why I took that out. Because it seems like to me, if I come to you with a potential building plan, and I tell you right up front that based on the size of this property, I'm gonna have trouble doing what you probably would like me to do, maybe it's a development you'd like, but because of the dumpster requirement, it's gonna take up space I need for drainage, or it's gonna take up space I need for parking, or whatever it's gonna be, and I'd like to be able to have some flexibility in that. Right now, even if it's a business you want, the boat dealer, for example, who we've talked about several times, or whomever else, there's no flex, they can't do anything. Now, that's a different thing than a code enforcement issue, where someone, notwithstanding what the code currently says, and I'm gonna read that to you in a second, says, I ain't doing it, which is what you're talking about. That's a code enforcement issue. Now, the problem with code enforcement right now is it's not particularly reliable in terms of attendance, in terms of the results, and so forth, which is one of the reasons why I suspect, but don't know, that y'all might end up going back to a magistrate in the not distant future, because that's the only way you're gonna get consistent results on the things that you want consistent results on. As an example, and I won't go into the details, at the last hearing, someone who was related to someone who was the case was also on the board deciding the case of the person they were related to. This is a problem. And we didn't even know about the issue till it was already decided. And it's, how did we let that happen? I don't know who's related to who. I wasn't sitting here, but you know, that's kind of what happens. So the enforcement part, there should be no disagreement. If you have someone who's blatantly violating your code because they want to, that's not an excuse. And it's not an excuse for the other side of it. If I'm a brand new property owner who wants to do something that you would like me to do, but one of the things that's hindering me is the placement of, or the materials of, or the size of a dumpster enclosure, then what, again, I'm not telling you to do it, but that's the reason for the flexibility. But while you asked a really relevant question, which is, what does it currently require? And so I got it back in front of me, and I'll read it to you as best I can, because anything that, if I don't know if y'all see it now, but if it's underlined, it's new. So you have to look at what's existing that doesn't either have an underline or a strike through to know what's existing. So here's existing as best I can read it. Enclosures for commercial containers will be located on a concrete or asphalt pad in an area measuring 12 by 12 feet masonry walls. And then it says 6 feet in height. The opening of the enclosure shall face the most accessible area for waste removal on the commercial property, acceptable material, and then that's it. There's a section that's been added about acceptable materials. There's nothing about that in the current version. So that was added too. And everything after that is all new stuff, and that's about the waiver. And then one section was stricken, and again, I don't know the rationale for it. A gate, what this section was in the existing, but is now it's under this version is stricken. A gate shall be constructed in the enclosed section of the commercial container enclosure area. The gating can be constructed of chain link, vinyl, slat siding, wood, wrought iron, environmental iron, and must shield the commercial container from visual view. I believe that that's stricken because it is contained somewhere else in the new language And so you don't have to have it in there twice. But that's, so if you look at the current language, it tells you 12 by 12, concrete, 6-foot walls, be closed on 3 sides. And where the front of it is accessible, the most accessible to somebody who would come in and try to dump the dumpster. So that's what it's currently.
So
There's no flexibility in it.
so it's essentially really conflicting with everything else because it says commercial containers from the public view. That's the main thing conflicting with this document. Everything is in public view. That's what I'm complaining about. In public view. So this document is conflicting. You can't do A and try to do B. If you ain't got A, you can't do B. So why are we worrying about B waiting something we ain't done A yet? Somebody help me, because everything's in the public view. That's what I'm complaining about. Public view.
It says it shields it from public view. I'm not,
Yeah, but it's not shielded though. Everything's in the public view. It's not shielded.
but that's
So do we
what
just need
the
to read the
ordinance.
language or?
But not every container is on the main street, so what about those containers that are not? And what ordinance is there for code violations to be? For those that are not on the main street?
Ones we talking about Main Street. The main ones on the main street that don't meet compliance. Those are the ones that need to be handled first.
I agree.
So what I don't see, and the ones I know that don't have them, that I do see. Even with Puncho store, he got a big one in now. And I see that one.
Well, what I'm saying, again, you're one is a more of an administrative and a service thing versus something that the planning department needs to help enforce what you all expecting. And so, again, I'm not saying your points aren't valid. I'm just saying those are things that we have to handle and just do versus something that we need to be able to have the ability to handle. Because here's what happens if we say no to this. Now he goes back to code enforcement board and says, okay, now we're just gonna move forward with what we have. And like last time, they're gonna reach out to some council person. And the council person will say, you know what, right. They're gonna come and then they're gonna say, we need to do something about it. This is the best option based off legal, based off the team's review from other communities and how they handle it. We've talked with several haulers. This is the best option to amend it to make sure we can address those certain situations. Again, your point is the point of view of what's on this main road, what looks ugly, what doesn't look right. That's what we need to address. Point taken, heard. We can address that, but that doesn't negate still needing this. Is what I'm
That's gonna help
saying.
us
Hold on,
push
one moment,
forward with
Councilman.
getting those things done.
Councilman James has his hand up.
I think that when we had that meeting, the problem was we were restricted to you wanted concrete. And we said, take it back and let them have the ability to use wood or something. That's
This
Right.
what this gave them a waiver
right.
based off the best case scenario, not just them saying.
The waiver to say they can go with wood,
Right,
fencing to make it look
they
aesthetic
can,
to
they
the
can,
thing. That's
but they
right.
would submit that option to us.
Gotcha.
The planning would review it and say, yes, we agree.
Right.
And they can proceed forward with correcting. And that also gives, this still doesn't get them out of the code enforcement because now it says, now we've given you an option.
Right.
You still have X amount of days or we're gonna proceed forward with our code enforcement.
And I'm gonna be done my last thing. So let's just take the store, for instance. If their thing's on Front Street, if they get the concrete slab, and let's say they put up a fence, get it painted, make it look all good. We're good with that. We're saying we're good, right? Because it meets the criteria, getting from the street on the concrete slab, aesthetically looking good because they've enclosed it in whatever materials we allow, and then we're good.
Correct.
Okay, that's right.
So that's what we're basing it on, right? No matter if it's concrete, wood, long as it's the 3 areas that are covered and it has the enclosure.
Right. When they have business to
But you got to be
business.
able to, I guess, enforce the code enforcement if they're not meeting that criteria. Correct?
Again,
I know we gotta put something in order to enforce.
right.
Anything.
And the way enforcement was taking place, it had to address everyone that was out of compliance. And that's what they did.
Gotcha.
And then when they did that, that's when the kickback says, well, hold on.
Right.
You know, I've been here 20 years and I ain't never had this issue.
Right.
And now you telling me I gotta spend
$4,000,
$2,500,
like
$2,500, $3,000 to do this. And that's when council said, can you guys come back with option to find the best route. So that's where it ended up. Again, Council Vice Mayor, I know what your point is. That's not negating the need for this. One is just saying, I'm tired of looking at my front.
First of all, you don't have to spend no money for anything, just give them rollaways. First of all, you ain't gonna spend 10, $3, whatever. Just give them the rollaways, that's free. But they pay for it. That's the first thing. Those are free.
Vice Mayor, we're not able to give them the rollaways. We don't have the right authority by our president code to give them the rollaways to make that decision.
So what we talking about this?
Because obviously you saw
To
that.
do so.
Where it say that, the way to make them, give them rollaways?
It doesn't state a certain path. It just creates the options for us to
The
come.
current code says commercial sites shall have 12 by 12 concrete pad with 6-foot concrete walls.
Okay, my
No
question is
options.
this, my question is
Anything
this.
different.
When you put these people on notice, this year, yesterday, didn't know about this how long? How long do you know about these here?
The first notice is being out, October 2023.
Okay, what happened in one of them done to this day? It is October 2024. What, name me one of them have did anything to improve on the front street?
On the front street,
The ones we have problems with. Name me one of them companies, none of them. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? You gave them a whole year.
But there's
So
nothing in place for them to even make.
You went to them and told me, we have to tell them to put a closure up. If you don't went to them and say, hey, you're gonna get fined.
We did, but
What have they done?
we brought it before the code board, and the code board did not want to make a ruling because they said that the town hall doesn't have an enclosure and to expect the residents of the businesses to do so before the town, so they declined, it's the terminology I wanted, they tabled all cases against dumpster enclosures until
How long you know we have enclosure?
for the town, since that October meeting, we really.
No, I knew it back before then. What have we done to even fix that?
We actually have the design already laid out for
The
the,
design.
yeah, we have to get a design, it has to be built per code.
It's not, you are swearing and tell me, get this.
It sounds easy, but if we have permitting requirements, we have to follow them. That's why we have the whole, so that's like me saying, if we just go and say, we're gonna draw something and do it, then I gotta give right to every other person to do the same. And who's to say when they build it based off of just what they think is the best, with the way they draw it, it's gonna be something that's sustained. So we designed it, we sent it to the engineer gave us a design for it, now we can build it.
As they say, get your house in order. So
That's what we, that's
and my thing is, I still don't support this, and I'm not gonna support it tonight till we get our house in order. So if our dumpster ain't enclosed, don't bring this back to me, cause our house ain't clean. And those people using out there in the streets, that's what we tell the people in the streets. Oh, cause ours ain't done, we gonna let y'all do it?
no, we're not telling them that, that was brought to us.
And so that's up. Well, no, I'm telling you, we ain't meeting, we ain't meeting, but we gonna come in compliance. You need to come in compliance,
Well, and that's what we're doing as a town.
and none of them has. So, and none of them can't still meet the criteria to build enclosure.
That's why we need.
And that's why I said we need, y'all got that over there.
It's only the first reading, man, so we got second reading, so hopefully.
I'm supporting the first, I'm not supporting the first, second, or third, so I'm telling you straight up, so.
So, I just have a comment, where it says the planning director or their designee, we don't have a planning director, then they can't designate. So is it possible, administration's designee or planning director consultant?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Just make sure
That's who we're
it's
looking, that's who we're gonna have to plan and consult.
Yeah,
So,
planning consultant,
and she serves as our planning director for.
yes, so if you just put that verbiage in here, because that was
Well,
an
I
issue.
can have the administrator designee, and then he can pick whoever he thinks is going to qualify.
Either, yeah, okay.
We don't pay the attorney money to even look over this document, and we should have had our input done. I'm ready, yes, I am, because we need to get our house in order. And it need to be done ASAP, I don't know who need to do it.
That doesn't mean that we don't keep moving forward, everybody at the same, we all step at the same time.
Moving forward, Mayor, because we have been holding the citizens, the community pulling their part.
And I understand that, but that to me, that's not good enough. I understand that let me finish. I understand we have not gotten ours. but you also heard that at least we made that step. To me, that does not clear the way for nothing to be done. We're tying their hands on every single thing because we're saying that we made somebody else down here do theirs and we didn't make them do theirs and the town, that's, I think that if we had something like this in place already, then we wouldn't have to be here today. But it still needs to be passed. We still need to get our dumpster, closed in. I understand that, but that doesn't mean we don't do anything. That is what I'm saying. And even if you want it off the main street, we're still not giving them the authority to even offer that alternative because what's on the books right now won't allow it. So by doing nothing, we won't do anything. And I don't think that's not justifiable because town doesn't have any
I didn't mention that. They mentioned that. I didn't mention that our house went order. I was gonna tell them myself. They just said,
Well, they-
first of all, I'm not
That's
gonna,
one of the
but
arguments.
I know what we don't have. I wasn't gonna say that, but I know what other commercial business should have. See what I'm saying? So that's what the problem is.
But this
So
also
if
gives them.
you use that for excuse, like I said, if that's the excuse to why the other people don't have here, that's a shame. That's a shame. You need to bring that up. I don't know why they brought that up. If we know what I was gonna fix and CEO, planning, permitting, whatever, we got it all in here to get our enclosures done.
But
What
we
we
still
need
need
to
to put
do,
something in place,
or what?
Vice Mayor. We still need to put something in place that they can.
I'm in hopes that we can get this resolved, man, and turn a new leaf and moving forward. I know, like, Mayor said, we gotta do something. We can't sit here and sit on our hands like we've been doing for so long now. So I think, with that being said, I think we just need to move forward with doing something to see how it's gonna actually work and iron out all the jigs on how we're gonna move forward with just getting it right. So I'm gonna move forward to approve it tonight, at least for the first reading. And hopefully we can go down the better direction of really getting this thing, resolved. Because it needs to be resolved.
I would like to add that I would like the council to be mindful that if we don't pass the ordinance, once our dumpster enclosure is in place at town hall, the code board is going to proceed and insist, and we're going to move forward with the code as it is, and everybody's going to be required to follow suit. If we don't make way for us to give them a waiver.
All right.
Hold on, I'm not finished. So on the waiver enforcement requirement on this document saying that someone can waive their rights not to get enclosure. Yeah, do that what I mean?
No.
It just waives, it's giving the ability to staff to review an option besides what our first option is. We don't have any other options right now.
But they're gonna have an enclosure no matter what though.
They're gonna have some type of
Right?
enclosure.
So that's the most
No matter
important thing to me is to have
No
an
matter what.
enclosure.
But if they don't meet the enclosure, what we doing?
Again, that,
You'll be penalized.
But not to get rid of the enclosure. We ain't trying to I'm not trying to penalize nobody, because we could give them the road, we give them.
so if they refuse to follow any of those options with the waiver, then code enforcement starts the defining process.
But are you not offering them to say, you don't meet the criteria for that dumpster, but we can give you 4 of these? Are we giving that opportunity?
That's what we're gonna talk about what the best case scenario is.
That's what I'm trying to figure out now. I'm trying to figure that out now. So that's the waiver. I don't want you to waive something and say you're gonna penalize them. Say, you don't wanna get rid of this here. You need to build a closet.
Agree. We're not saying that either do this or don't get it. All we're saying, we need to look at it, because if it doesn't make sense, say for instance, as Mr. Cobbin mentioned, if the power lines are there or if the infrastructure is not there, then we're gonna say, okay, roll-off's gonna be your best option based off of this, or the total is gonna be your best option, and you move forward with that.
Okay.
So wait, in the review, then, is that something that we can see if access to the dumpster would mean going over the pipes? I mean, is that part of this review process then.
That's what it says,
The
to the extent that which the
yeah.
property layout makes it difficult and impractical to comply with the enclosure requirements.
So impractical, that would be something that would be impractical.
If it's not something that can be done, we'll go with the next best option, but they will have an option. It won't just be like, oh, just stick as you are. That's not what we're saying.
The current code doesn't allow us to look at any other function.
But this particular one will.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, with somebody build, what's the,
We gotta put something in order.
I think
Something gotta be in order.
building permitting. If I want to build a building and I put building closer and I don't have room for it, or I'm gonna get a permit for that, or I just don't, just keep me bring my dumpster or bring me what, how that works? Since y'all don't have the rights to say you can't tell somebody to have a dumpster.
So the planning department, so somebody had, and for the correct understanding, most of the buildings that we're talking about, these were not built with this in mind. They were converted. Most of these buildings were converted from a house or something else. They didn't have all that. So when they come in and say, hey, we're trying to come here, the process should be, and I can't say this has been followed every time. But the process should be, they go to permitting, they review, they go over all the things. Once they get through planning, permitting, and meet all the requirements, they pay their bills. And then once they're to the place where they're getting their permits or getting their business tax receipt and they want to put in, they have to call our utility department to confirm, hey, we would like to have the services, waste services for this project.
Okay, that's what, so how this company get this down here? I just gotta get that.
So,
dumpster down here.
and that's what we got to clean up with
How
finance.
that dumpster get down there, building down there?
I
How
don't want to say.
And that's what I want to talk about, the utility side of this.
Okay, good evening, Mayor Kinnison. So again, what you say, once they get their business types and they get approved, they come to the front counter and say they want to open up utility service. So when anybody got in the building, it's a dumpster already there. So my question, what he's saying is, what we did with Mad Crab, we did with a special. So the guy you talking about, we don't have nothing in place saying that, hey, we can go ahead and give you 4 tolls. We did that because Mad Crab, we got approved through the last administration because they didn't have. But the guy you talking about, he has asked us for a tolls, but we don't have nothing in place to say, hey, go ahead and give it to him. Because he asked that, and we didn't have no problem with it, but I don't finance for the utility department don't have nothing saying, hey, okay, we'll give it to you. And then the man next door say, hey, how he got 4 tolls and y'all got me paying for this dumpster?
My thing,
That's my question.
my question now is, he don't meet the criteria, so why we give him a dumpster? He don't have the closure.
Because in the thing it say, any business have any commercial business that come in, they have to have a dumpster. It's in writing, it's in writing.
That's cool, yeah.
It's in
This
writing.
gives us flexibility.
Don't have a enclosure, but we have a dumpster. So we
Again, that's the whole thing.
This right here would make them have the enclosure.
what they haven't been at saying.
This would put them in position to have the closure.
No, we gotta.
As of now, we don't have the authority to say you gotta have an enclosure. But with this,
That's not true. What we're saying, we're saying that, and whatever reason, it has been allowed where individuals could get a dumpster without the enclosures. Let's be clear. It's been allowed.
So
Yes, it has.
so we're making them.
When we brought in a code enforcement officer, we were asked to start to enforce this. And when we started enforcing, we got to bring it before the board. We brought it before the board. This is how we got here. So what I'm saying is, we're trying to make sure these processes are in place so we can actually enforce what the expectations are.
Okay, where's that document saying that that's what should be amended? We should amend what you just said. That document saying
That has been now.
Now,
But that's with the utilities internal.
When
And it's a required approval for that. That's an administrative portion of that requires.
So that got done after the fact. He got his.
Again, when it's brought to our attention, we
And he got
address it.
that weeks ago.
He
So
did because
So-
the thing say in a commercial business, you have to have a commercial dumpster.
but it don't meet the criteria of enclosure.
What it says. So my question tonight is, since we are talking about it, to move forward, give us permission, we'll move that container off there, and get him the full dumpster that he did ask for, but there's nothing saying that, hey, Katrina, you can do that. Without y'all saying, yes.
I mean, Is that just the law? Did y'all say give 4 dumpsters? Would that break the law? Would that break the law if he said he want 4 dumpsters? 4 rollers? Tell me that.
No,
Attorney, would that break the law if the guy say he want 4?
This ordinance,
The precedent is that they don't meet the crack. So, go ahead.
this ordinance only deals with the enclosure requirements. It doesn't deal with a rolling dumpster, a big trash can, metal. It doesn't deal with any of that. This is an enclosure requirement. Correct. Where it will go to be hidden from view, but also accessible for dumping. So this doesn't deal with whether someone gets 4 rollaways or 1 large dumpster or several commercial sized trash cans or none of that. This just deals with how they can be hidden from view as best as possible based on site conditions. That's what this deals with. The current ordinance, if we didn't change anything, is it's 12 by 12 and it's concrete walls on 3 sides and a gate. That's what it is. It's 6 feet tall. It's not 8 feet tall. That's all it is. There's no option for something other than concrete. For example, like wooden fencing, which I've seen some dumpsters behind wooden fences, or chain link, or any other kind of option, just concrete walls. That's it. Now, the point of the waiver is not to say that people who are already not in compliance with what is required, if they don't have what I just said, they're not in compliance. That's a code enforcement issue. And there's problems with code enforcement. That's, as Mr. Presley has said now a couple of different times, is why we're here. But on a go forward basis, if I'm bringing a new business or a new idea, and as they pointed out, I need a dumpster because I can't operate without one. The question is, how do I get past the permitting folks who say, show me where you're going to put the dumpster because you have to have it enclosed. And they say, well, I have to have a dumpster, but I don't know that I can meet the enclosure requirements because I don't have enough room, or that I need more parking, or whatever. They can only say, without this waiver, they can, sorry, figure it out because you get 12 by 12. Well, now I don't meet your parking requirements. You required me to have 10 spaces. If I put that dumpster there, I'm only going to have 6. I can't build my business. Oh, well, go away then. Because that's what you're left with based on the dumpster. And let me be clear. I'm not advocating. I'm just trying to explain to you how it operates. This is about the enclosure, not what's in the enclosure.
My part is they don't meet the enclosure thing.
So we put this in place.
I know what your
It's
point.
still ain't gonna be in
That's
place.
administratively, I've got to correct.
But my question is it against the law? If we, like this gentleman said, that I don't want that, give him 4 of those.
But I stated earlier, that's not, I agree with what you're saying. That's something I got to address. But as far as this enclosure, this still is needed. I follow what you're saying about toters, whether we put it in. That's something I need to work out with staff and make.
So let's stop making an excuse that we can't do that.
I'm not.
We're making an excuse that we can't give people those things.
No. I think, again, that's why I wanted to separate the two things, because what they're focusing on is the enclosure. What you're focusing on is what's in there. And I think that's where I kept trying to say we need to separate the conversation on those 2 things. But I understand what you're saying.
Anyone else? All right. So it has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right. So the first reading of 2024-9 has passed. The next item is the consent agenda item for number 2, approval of the updated policy and procedures for the CDBG-MIT. Is there a preamble?
No, that's consent agenda.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, the updated policy passes. And then the final thing is the approval of the budget adjustment for the advertised job position. Is there a motion, and then discussion could be in a second. Is there a motion to approve the budget adjustment? It's been moved. Is there a second? Second, and I just had a statement on this one. When I went back to I'm assuming that the position description, that was in the budget book. It shows a part-time salary range from $15,470 to $26,930. And then an hourly rate, $15.47 to $26.93. But when I calculate the hourly, it should be 14.875 to 25.89.
And I think that even may be off, depending on how many weeks you use. This is I've been having this discussion.
Okay.
With Mrs. King, so I don't know the amount of weeks that this job is for. So if you assume 52, which is what the most recent information was, meaning there's no vacation and 26 hours a week, then you can do that times a certain, you take 26 hours a week times 52, that'll give you a number of hours. And you say, okay, I got 15,000 something here. I divide that by that number, and that tells you what the hourly rate is. And I came up with 11 something on the low end. If you're using
Yes, it
52
would
weeks.
be.
And then if you go on the high end, and you, again, using 52 weeks and using the high end number, the 26 or whatever it was, and do the math.
Mhm.
26 hours, 50 times 52, and divide that into that number, you'll come up with, what did I say? Like $20.68 per hour. But again, it all changes if instead you say, oh, well, there's going to be a 2-week vacation. All right, now we're down to 50 weeks. So the numbers change. If you're saying that they're only going to work 48 weeks. So the weeks matter because that's how you come up with if the issue is always going to be 26 hours a week and it's going to be an hourly rate for some number of weeks. That's how you back into the number. I think this budget amendment, my understanding is about how the position was advertised. And the only point I want to make on this is you wouldn't expect, for example, I would not advertise, and this is not to say this is what everybody else should do, but I wouldn't say in hiring a lawyer, okay, the position is, the range is between 40 and 50, but no, I'll never pay more than 40. I would just say it's 40. Or if it was 40, 45. I mean, in other words, I'd have to have in my mind that I might find somebody that I need to pay, but it would be false advertising to say, I advertised for this number to get people to come in the door, but I never, ever approved the number and would never approve a number that's on the high end of what I advertised. You just don't advertise that number. So I think that's what this budget amendment is about mostly.
And to support what Attorney Shepherd is saying, I didn't want to, we've already started the review in the interviewing process. I did not want to offer anyone a job position and our budget is not consistent with the salary range that we have been advertising, because potentially that would look like false advertisement. And so I got legal counsel on it, and he said, that is correct. Your budget should be consistent with your salary. So when you are advertising, and he and I had just been going back and forth, because what is advertised is different from what's on the job description.
Well, can I chime in on that? Because
Yeah.
if I'm looking at what we're advertising on our website, the record clerks are part-time, and I'll get with HR to confirm where and how this is adjusted, is $15,464.80. And with the range to 27,965.
That's correct.
So I don't know how we're getting to the 36,000 for the top of the range.
Because I'm looking at the job description. I'm looking at it right now.
But what I'm saying is,
Let me say what I'm saying.
you said, but what I'm saying is the advertised, if we're going by what's advertised, the highest of it should be is 27,965. Based off what we're advertising
Yeah,
online.
we just figured that out.
Yeah.
But now it raises another question of discrepancy. Why wasn't it advertised based on the job description that was approved? I'm looking at an in-house posting that says that this position, records coordinator, salary range.
When you say in-job posting, where's that at?
I'm looking at it, this is what I got from Nicole, Human Resources. Job description for records coordinator, salary range, $14.87 on the low end. And on the high end is $26.89 per hour. I'm only going by what the job description says. This is the job description that was approved. Which means if you're gonna advertise a job with the salary range, it should have been based on what's on the job description. So now I'm questioning, how did it go from 1487 down to 1192.
Can I say
I'm
something?
just,
But can I say something to that? With
Yeah.
the amount that you said was the top of the range from what you see on that posting, it equates to 27,965,60 cents. If you did the 1040, which is normally what our part times is, it's based off 1,040 hours.
so
So
after
not
talking,
weeks, but hours. And so
okay,
Okay, see that,
that's
that's what it's based off of.
Okay.
We do that for all part-time positions.
okay, so I don't work with human resources, so I get my answers from human resources.
Okay.
I was informed that part-time positions work up to 26 hours a week
Okay.
for 52 weeks.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to clear up that discrepancy.
That's it.
All of our part-time positions, even now, when Ms. Nicole was in it, the part-time role, it was based on 1,040 hours for the entire term limit, which is what that $26 at the high end of that range, $26.89 comes to, which equates to the 27, if that was the annual, which would be the $27,965.60.
So are you telling me, based on what I have come to learn now,
Top of the range.
that the $15,464.80 to $27,965 is consistent with the $14.87 an hour? Up to $26.89, is that what you're telling me? That is consistent?
Yes, that's
Okay.
consistent with that.
So now that we've gotten that clear,
Yes.
the purpose of the adjustment is, this is still not consistent with the budget. We're advertising a range.
Right.
It's on the website, it's on Indeed, it's on government, whatever it is, government. We're advertising it in different locations
Yeah.
as a range.
But what
But
I'm
our
saying,
budget is not consistent with it, and
So-
it would put us in a questionable position if I offer someone a job and we don't have the corresponding budget. It's almost like we're false advertising.
so
So that's why I put a hold on even offering anything to anyone.
I understand your point. So the adjustment should be to the highest being $27,965.60. That's what this budget amendment should be, not $36,300.
That's just based on the.
But that was based on what I was told.
I understand.
You understand?
But I'm saying what would bring what you're saying into compliance is to base the budget amendment based up to the highest of 27,000.
Right, and that needs to be reflected in our budget before I make anybody offer.
Correct.
So if I have to, in considering this adjustment for approval, we need to make changes on the budget to reflect what's advertised. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
It needs to reflect what's advertised.
again, the reflection of what's being advertised we need to make sure if what we don't have now in the budget matches at least up to 27,000, that's what we need to adjust it to.
So
That's what the
if-
budget adjustment need to be, at least 2. That doesn't mean that person starts at that. It just means we have the ability to go up to 27,965. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is, that's what we need to adjust. Whether the council gives us the approval to change that number here now, or will you bring it back
They
in?
will have to get an amendment.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We would have to amend it to that being the top amount of what the adjustment could be. Again, and I know Councilwoman had this question, are we giving them the top? That doesn't mean we're giving them the top.
No.
We're just
If you
saying
read
that's
the cover sheet-
the highest part.
If you read the cover sheet, because I wanted to make sure that was very clear, that upon selection of a qualified candidate to be considered, offers will be varied based upon education, experience, and their skill, beneficial to the records coordinator position. We're just trying to make sure that the budget and the salary is consistent. So we're not accused of false advertising.
Is that something we can do, right? Can we make the adjustment right on this?
Can you make it a budget amendment, Trudy?
We can adjust.
Yeah, because this 36.35, I was basing it on what I was, basing on the 52 weeks.
And I heard the statement about vacation, but there's no
There's no
vacation
vacation.
for part-time.
Yeah.
So they'll have roughly about 20 hours a week.
Alright.
Is what that 1040 equals out to, is roughly about 20 hours.
Oh, Miss,
Okay, this is so I make sure I understand.
So the job was posted at a certain range.
Yes.
And what we doing is, we approved the budget for $19,000 and some change for this person to work. So now you saying you changing it to 26,000, 27,000 in the budget, because of the range, right?
Yeah, so that there's at least the budget money there that we
Just
said
the top.
would be there. Doesn't mean we'll spend it, but it means it's
I
there.
know, I'm not just saying that, because now you open up something else, because if that job was posted at 125,000, now you saying that the budget need to change to reflect 125,000. Because it was posted the same way, then another position was posted the same way too, so I just want to understand what you're saying.
No, you're 100% right. Now, I don't know about what has happened in the past about how things are advertised. I'm just saying that as a matter of policy,
Yes.
nobody should advertise a position with a range of salary where the money is not there to back the top end of the range. It doesn't mean you offer the top of the range, but if someone called you out on it, if someone walks in here and says, okay, I came to this interview, but I will need the top end of the range. And it turns out they got stellar qualifications, whatever the range is, doesn't matter. And you say, well, we love you, but we can only pay the bottom end of the range. Well, then why? Well, it's not because you're not qualified. Well, why is it? Well, we don't have the money, but you advertise it this time. So you don't have to pay them the top number, but you have to be able to say, oh, we have it set aside.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking us to correct the wrong before we make a offer. That's all I'm asking.
I think we need to stop practicing doing that because that's like,
But that's
what he was saying with him. It started off with 125,000, but we only paying them whatever. So if we're gonna advertise it, that's what it need to be, you know, versus saying here.
The money needs to be there. Whether you spend it, that's a
Right,
different question.
yeah,
You have to allocate it. Then if you don't spend it, okay, you put it back in the general fund somewhere else.
right.
So for clarity, again, this is one of those cleanup moments where as we move forward, finance and everyone hears this, when we advertise, if we have a range and it's been approved, we have to have the funds at least up to the top of that range. That doesn't mean we give that individual that top of the range. We just have to have it. I think one of the concerns was in the past was the council wanted to decide what that range, what that final pay was, and they took that administrative privy from that happening. That's another case. I'm just saying, I just want to be clear moving forward that finance knows how to budget when it comes to those things. So we're clear that whatever we're ranging it in and we haven't advertised, we have the funds available to support.
Gotta have responsibility.
Are y'all working the same?
So right now, the adjustment would be,
If the adjustment would be based on the what you said?
It was 19, so that's up by 7,000, 8,000.
it would be the 20,
$27,900.
$965.60 is the top. That's what the adjustment would be.
$965 and 20 cents.
$27,965.60.
Yes.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded already. So can we go ahead and make so moved and seconded with the stated adjustment to the amount from $36,355 to $27,965.60, which is how much per 26.89?
The top of it is $26.89. That's for 1,040 hours.
For 1,040 hours
Annual.
per annually.
1,040 hours.
Yes, annually. All right.
Y'all did this?
So with that correction, all in favor say aye.
Question.
Aye.
No, you want.
All in favor say aye. All opposed. All right, it has been approved. Copy. All right, we are now ready for sales report.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I just want to give a Hurricane Milton update. I wanted to acknowledge staff and did a phenomenal job with preparation, preparing for the storm. Just some key stats, just to be reminded. We did have 283 residents out of power, but all have been restored to this point. These are numbers from Duke. We did have all 4 of our lift stations in operation. Generators were working. We do have one older generation, which is the Marine lift station, which we have to make some modifications where we had to do some pumping out and Ms. Mundy is working with that. But that's being handled. All town facilities were secured. We do have some roof leaks that we're yet still addressing. The damage total that we've assessed so far is about $265,000 that we've submitted to the county from the town. In regards to the actual storm, it has been declared by the president. And there is a 100% reimbursement for those items dealing with it. Anything as starting from October 5th. And that's a 90-day 100%. And then of course it tears down from there. And so with that being for the community, I've been making assessments with Ms. Mundy. We're riding around looking at the debris. We're going to give the community an opportunity to get the debris out to the road. I know there's a few ones that have not done it, but once we feel that we've done as many as have got it, we'll have one pass. And that one pass will be with a contractor that meets the requirements for that to proceed from there. And once that's done, then we will close out that. And of course, those things are reimbursable and we'll have to follow the procedures to get that reimbursed. All right. So that's just from the hurricane. We have been documenting certain things. Chief Murray and the police department did work with a company. Lieutenant, do you remember the name of the company that did the zone drone shots? I'm trying to remember the company name, but they came and did some free drone shots of the town after the storm. I must say that our stormwater system did what we expected it to do, even with the amount of rain that we did get during the storm. We didn't have any major flooding as we've had in some of those areas in the past, and that's due to some of the efforts been made to address that. Preventative efforts been made by our public works department. So thank you to Ms. Mundy and the team for working on that. We heard about the CERCAP, so we're working with that. We had a meeting with Orange County about West Kennedy Boulevard project. And of course, we're still pressing the issue of connectivity. We went over the bus stops. Axon was the company that did the flyover, and I have a copy of that for our records. So we did the drone shots of everything. So I have those for our files of what it looked like after the storm. But in regards to West Kennedy, we did meet with them. We talked about the bus stops with Link. They've given us those locations. There will be several rectangular rapid flashing beacons pointed out at certain points. We've asked them to continue to do a study at Campus View for a light there. And we're working with Inscribe, who has in their developers agreement to address the traffic study at that location. So we're working through that. They're looking to procure the first phase in February. Takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months to get that all done. So sometime in the summer, first phase, which is starting in the county up until Kingston, is what they'll be working on for the first phase of West Kennedy. We talked about the second phase. We are looking at getting some sidewalks on Wymore as they're doing this. We're working that out now. And we're also working on the landscaping layouts for these projects, especially in the second phase. Just give you a little update on that. Service rate study. We did meet with Florida Rural Water Association. We discussed some of the challenges we're looking at with that rate study. We have the final line. We're probably going to have to redo our rate structure for our utility department to make sure that we have the proper scales, but we're working through that. As soon as we get what we feel is the best case scenario for the rate study for water and sewer, I'm hoping at the first meeting in November to have that. I talked with them today. And we may have to call a special meeting because we have timelines to get the SRF funding done. I'll keep you all posted on that. Early voting precinct starts on the 21st. Thank you. And that's coming up. And of course, they worked it out where we could be here for the rest of this week. But of course, after that, all of our meetings for November through the first and second meeting will be at the Denton Johnson.
Just the first, the election day is the 5th.
Okay, so we'll be able to get back here by the second. So the first meeting.
Our stakeholders and our first council meeting will be at Denton Johnson.
Sure. Thank you. And Councilwoman, I was thinking possibly for the stakeholders meeting, since we missed the club eating, discussion, maybe we can do that as stakeholders. That way you can get a chance to still do that, but we can talk now offline if you still wanted to proceed forward with that date. Edmund system integration is just about complete. And so that means all of our permitting will be electronically, and we'll be able to put those rate structures in there and keep a better file maintenance on everything that's happening from permitting to utilities to all the above. We just discussed solid waste. We do have the 3 contracts. I do have them ready for you to review if you'd like to do so. I have copies in my office and electronic ones, so you just let me know how you'd like to look at them. I do have a committee that we're looking to meet last week, but of course with the storm, we had to push it back a week. So we're working on getting some new dates for the solid waste to choose a new hauler or same hauler, choosing whichever gives the best rates and the best play for the town. I believe those are the major items I have on here. Thank you all for we try our best to keep you all located and updated on what's taking place with the storm. So just communicating on that. With that, I'll take on any questions if I have.
Attorney Shepherd. Thank you.
I have, for the benefit of Councilman Knapp, no new lawsuits to report. But I do have a couple of updates. One about the existing lawsuit with Up Development. I have made a settlement proposal after being authorized by Mr. President to do that. It has not been responded to, which is not all that bad actually, because they could have said immediately no. I'm happy to discuss it with you, but prefer not to do it in public. I will do it if you want me to, but I just don't think it's to the town's advantage, but not anywhere nearly as much as they would like. But it is what I think is reasonable, unless they want to fight. And I like my chances. The other thing is that, and I copied the mayor and Mr. Presley on an email today. I think, but I'm not sure, that I sent a draft of the lease purchase agreement to all of you. But if I didn't and you haven't seen it, want to see what I sent over for the school board, I'll be happy to send you a copy. They had a meeting today.
Yes.
A shade meeting, which is basically a meeting outside of the sunshine. And they can do that because of the pending litigation with the PEC to discuss options. They responded to me today to say that they had made no decisions and we're going to schedule another shade meeting, which is, again, it's better than saying no. And I did ask them in my email back to Mr. Palmerini, was there anything specific that he would like to change in the draft agreement? I tried to cover everything that was related to me by Ms. Catherine Pentel and make sure that it was in there. She even brought to my attention that there needed to be an insurance provision. So I added a very robust and detailed insurance provision. And so I'm happy to share that with you. If you want it, I would encourage you to take a look and read it so that the time will become very soon when you will all need to be your best advocates for the town, you and all the residents, and knowledge is power here. We need this property more than I think the outside world understands because of what it means for your future and for this town's future. And I now consider it my future because I'm really wrapped up in this. And I want to see it happen. And I think it will happen, but it won't be just because the lawyer got up there and did a bunch of fancy stuff. It'll be because you all said, hey, we got plans, we're going places, there's a future here, don't take it away from us. And that's what, and if you know what's in the agreement, you'll understand why that's important. Short version, it gives us a 5-year lease at $1 a year. After year 2, I'll be happy to explain. We can buy it out at any time for $1. So for a maximum investment of $3, if we need to, we can own all of what's left of the Hungerford property. Obviously, some of it is already on to others. That's sad, but it is what it is. It was done with the 2 years before we can exercise the option so that we have time to settle with the school board and then work out whatever we need to work out on how the property will be managed through a trust and what we will do plans for it. And it needs to be a healthy mix of things that will help bring tax revenue to the town. So we'll release some of the burden on your residents and allow you to have a base similar to what Maitland has with the, whatever they call the office park over there, so that they can pay lower taxes on their homes because the people who are on the commercial park are paying enough to offset it. That's my idea. I don't know what it looks like for you guys. It could be a museum, the hotel and shopping and I don't know what all. It could be housing, but it needs to make you money. That's the goal. So that's the update. And if I have anything more to report, I will certainly report.
Thank you. Tom-
Miss-
Oh.
you want- Okay.
Oh, Jennifer, please.
Do you have any?
No, I have nothing. to
Okay,
report.
I just wanna make sure. That's it.
She's very good.
Yeah, you know, I
Councilman,
Be very brief. Thank everybody for coming out today and being engaged in, town council meeting. First of all, Mr. President, I know we're having a situation with the contract with Host Dive. Are we in a position to we have one now? Or, 'cause I know we normally typically meet before I have meetings. Are we in position with the, contract now?
I have not gotten a call back from, Mr. Manning. We have reached out and discussed about an amendment with certain provisions. And we just have to have attorney approve those provisions and we'll bring it back before council too.
Okay.
So I plan to bring sometime in November that, but I just needed to have that conversation with them to confirm, some of those additional requirements.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to, just, recognize, Waste Connection for doing a better job with the, trash pickup. I don't know if it's because we're getting closer to contract or what, but, hopefully we can, continue going down this direction and training in a better way than we normally did in the past, because we had so many complaints, and I normally typically get a phone, at least 3 or 4 phone calls every Tuesday morning, in reference to, trash pickup. But, Waste Connection, you guys are doing a good job. Hopefully you can continue that if we decide to, go back with you guys during contract time. Also, Hurricane, I would like to, commend the, Public Works for doing a sensational job with just getting out after the storm. I had an opportunity to ride around the community and, kind of assess everything and see what was going on. And it was pretty bad, and just to see the guys out, doing what they do. And I know they do a great job on a daily basis, but just trying to keep the community clean. So kudos to Ms. Monday and, all the staff that's involved with, trying to keep this community as clean as possible and safe. And they are doing a great job with debris and piling it in certain areas. Hopefully we can get to a position where we can get some of these, reliable, guys that do the, job of picking up debris and things like that, so we can get this community cleaned up. So, also, any prayers to anybody that's dealing with a death, in the community, or even if not in the community. I know we're dealing with a lot of death, lately. I know we dealt with some small amounts of deaths during the, last hurricane we had. It wasn't nothing, as quite as the, last one we had with all the deaths, suffered in North Carolina. So definitely can, continue to keep those families up in prayer. And, I would like to, just give a big congratulations to Edgewater High School. They had a football game last night, district championship, actually, and they, prevailed. They won, so they're district champs now, getting prepared for the playoff. We got 2 games left before the postseason starts. So, congratulations to Edgewater varsity football on becoming the state, district champs. And last but not least, I can't emphasize it enough how important it is, starting October 21st, to get out and, exercise your vote. We're in a pivotal time now, but we definitely need everybody to get involved. Despite on whoever party you vote for, just get out there and make a difference and, trying to, make America, what it should be. No, I'm not gonna say it.
Don't say it.
Hey, listen, that was not gonna happen, buddy. Hey, listen. Hey, listen, even when you captured me, that wasn't gonna happen, man. But, anyways, that's my report. You guys have a blessed night. That's a good one.
First of all, I'd like to say, give great compliments to the staff for a very good job for the hurricane. Did a very good job. I'd like to say that, in Kelly Park, there was a couple of residents that still had a problem with water coming inside their homes. So, I don't know if anything done about it. Maybe that purchase insurance companies, I'm not too sure what's going on with that.
Yeah, on that end, probably, but if we have the address, we can at least address it. If you get those to me afterwards, I'll look into it with public. Works.
Okay. Everyone's safe, and Mr. President, what is the update on the logo?
That's on our agenda in November. That's, I'm working with Cliff, or with our attorney to figure out how we're gonna address that, but that is on our agenda for November.
Okay. Also, we know that the Zora Neale Hurston Festival will be coming up in January. Right now, this is October, so we haven't had any proposals to come to town. So where are we with this now? Because
I can
I
give you,
wanna get in a position to have my back up against the wall, and we're here trying to work things out and approving things at the last minute. So can you give us an update?
sure, and Lieutenant is one of our leads with this. We've been working, we've stressed this since the summertime. To get this information over to us and to no avail at this point. We did have some outstanding bills, which was primarily the reason, I don't think that's why they didn't submit it, but they knew they had to take care of those. And so that was a challenge with some outstanding bills, which I'd be more than happy to talk to council off record on that. But I, to date, have not received an official potential agreement from them. I know there's been communication about what our expectations are, and I'll make it very clear to the council. We've told them that because we didn't fulfill all of the agreements last time, all bills have to be paid upfront with all of our services, and we're just sticking to it. And if they can't provide that, we can't do it. So I want to be clear, we're not trying to hold the event up from happening. We just need them to comply because we've been held on the wrong end of the stick as of last year.
Okay, the last thing that I have here is this, the night market. The last event was, but the fourth event. So where are we with this? Is that has the town been assessed a fee, or is the promoter or whoever of the event, what expenses are being incurred by the town?
So what we've been doing is assessing what those special events look like, and how, if there are fees that we need to associate with it on it, and we're looking, again, we said we're gonna touch it. At the last meeting, I mentioned that we'd touch it after this last event. So now that we have that, I have our permitting and our team putting together what we feel is the best special events fee, not for the night market, just special events period, because we've had several other events. And we're trying to be consistent with that, and then we can figure out, upon the approval of council, how we want to proceed.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear, everyone. I'm not trying to put a stop to it. I
Correct,
think it's a
correct.
great event.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that we're getting our just share,
Absolutely.
fair share.
And that was the whole purpose of the pilot program, to give the opportunity, because we didn't have a structure to go off of.
Yes.
So I wanted to be fair, to make sure we gave them opportunity to see where it goes before we just start charging. But we have been looking at what's going to be in the best interest for special events, period.
Overall.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
If I can get email response, be quick. Vendors list, do we have a vendors list for, just say, the electricians or something that the residents can use on a person or a company that we can trust? I would like to have that. Also, like well, you gave a little insight on the lift station, but the one on Eaton, well, the alarm was going off. I had a resident to call, and it's kind of nervous because they had flooding over there. So I don't know if that alarm was answered in a timely manner, but it was going off. That even a resident on my street heard it and was like, "What's going on?" So I have a response to that. What's going on?
It's from when the storm was.
Yes, it was around storm time.
Okay.
And this was for Ms. Monday. Great job on the grants and the plans, and what we have in place, the community gardens and everything. But I definitely would like to know where we are with our infrastructure, our cutoff valves, where we are with replacing, piping that needs to be replaced and upgraded. I love everything you have, but I'm more on the infrastructure part of making sure we take care of our water for our citizens for Eatonville. And where are we on, you can give me an email, where are we on the camping in campers in Eatonville? Do we have something in place for that? I know we have the camping ordinance that we just passed or the first reading, but where are we with the camping in campers on properties in Eatonville? About a couple months ago, I asked about a resident who was inquiring about a lot next to his home. He was inquiring to purchase. And I'm wondering, can I get an update? Did we contact him? Is he satisfied?
We have, I'll send over the response from planning, but they have been working on it. I want to say they figured it out. I don't see Mr. Cotton, but
Okay, that's good.
I will confirm that.
Because every time I see this resident, he always smiles.
Absolutely.
That just want to make sure we're following up with what we need to do. And this is for Mr. Shepherd. Where are we with the lawsuit? May I have the name, please? And I'm always a stickler on why do we, the name of the lawsuit person, the other party?
Yeah,
You know, I
the
think
lawyer?
Lawsuit,
The lawsuit is up.
the person, you can give me the name, you don't have to say it, probably give me the name of you,
Oh.
who you're selling with.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I'm always a stickler, if we can win while we selling, you know, I'm just saying, this is just me, right? If we can win this, why, and if you wanna take it to court, then you take our attorney fees. If you think that you can win this, you know, I just hate that selling. I know sometimes, as a municipality, we settle just so that we don't have the fees and the time wasted, but if we can win it, let's take it to court, you know? And with these pilot programs, are they required to have insurance, or if someone falls, are we, as a town or municipality held liable if something were to happen? Or let's say the night market, or is it on them?
It's one, they actually have to have liability insurance for the event as well as a bond for the event.
So that leaves us, we're out, if something were to
For
happen,
that event,
Right.
they're responsible.
they're responsible. Okay, I just want to make
That's
sure.
any
that's-
special event that takes place.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, and that's mine.
Vice Mayor.
On the Marine Pump Station, we we'll repair that for, I know we got funds for that. What's the hold up on getting that situated?
There was some options that Public Works was looking at regarding the grant portion of it. We did actually go ahead and authorize CPH to do the design, and they've started on the design. We've got to follow back up with the grantor, which is the EPA, to confirm what's the next steps to start receiving the funds once we design it and plan it out. But it's out there.
How long had that grant? How long?
I can't tell you right off the top of my head, but I know it's been at least, since I've been here, it's been here.
We got the big paper thing in
Yeah.
2022, like right
So-
after I came.
Okay.
So 2022, here's 2024, we haven't, this is the thing that bothers me sometimes with this procrastination, I call it, that we don't get these things, not saying we don't get these things done, we want in 2022, but these are things that's 5-year plans that we
They
should
have
be,
personnel.
you know, in personnel too, but we need to jump on these things ASAP, man. And that's one thing, you have the funds there, you need to jump on those. Then I wanted, the passing of Rudolph Jones, one of the long timers in September email. I went to school with his kids and, you know, and he was working with, River Construction. He built some of these streets in Eatonville, helped when changed from dirt to pavement. He was part of that with River Construction. So, you know, that's someone we lost, dearly a good friend of the time,
What was that name again?
Rudolph Jones. Then on houses that got damaged, are we doing any kind of permitting waivers or having, I know the last storm we had, big storm, we did some kind of waivers with permitting.
We did do a declaration, as they come in, we have the flexibility to do that,
Okay, good.
as needed. But there is the PA side, as I was stating about the declaration, I talked about our side, which is the CAD, A, B, and C. But there also is the public assistance side that just hasn't been rolled out yet to assist those residents, or those ones that can be assisted with.
Oh, we got some need assistance because I know my neighbor had his house cut in quarters, so.
Yeah, disaster.gov is the website.
But I'm just to get a permit for the town. Now, I remember
Okay.
understand when we need to get a permit, we need to make sure we can process go well and all that.
If
stuff.
it is identified that it is something with the storm, we can address it.
That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about just
Yeah. I know.
Sunny day,
I just wanna say
you
for the
know,
record.
and everything was, Wisconnet, I think what we had with a Wisconnet, I talked with the people when I was at Florida City, that what happened was in the past, they was doing a lot of good services that the town we liked. So when they went down and said, well, we can't collect all this trash at your house, you have to have this certain amount of trash out now. And we weren't used to that, and that's what happened. When the change came, when change comes, things, you know, people don't like change sometimes. So we had to adapt to the new changes that they said, we was doing something out of compliance. You didn't supposed to have 5 garbage cans out there. You only supposed to have this one. You know, so that's what the issue was, big issue we had with the disconnect. I don't think it was, they weren't picking it up, they weren't doing it, it's just that we were so used to the management. But the manager was doing something extra for the town, and now they said, well, we can't do it because we're doing more weight to the dump yard or whatever. So that was one thing that we talked about, that fully considered that change there, so. That went good, that conversation went good. But then another thing, go vote, that's one of the things we need to do, to our citizens go vote. And like you just got tough about the other thing you just said earlier, how we doing this here. I want you to do that about the dumpsters on the side of the road, like collecting fees. And special events, of course, we need special events. You can't make laws for special events. We should already have on books now. It's part of rentals. Special events, part of renting your property. From this building, you want to put a rent on this building when Black Bears come to town, or whoever do something here in this building, we should grab a policy for this thing. Not saying we're gonna make a special event policy because people are doing events. So, like you said, about the dumpster things and containers, waving and all this kind of stuff here. So you just can't say that we can put some special fees on because somebody doing special events. Not because I participate in one and the other kid that don't have his. We have to always have it on books. It's part of your rental agreements of your community. It's just a parking lot. It's a parking lot. It's Denton Johnson. It's the football. It's the Catalina Park. It's Catalina Park. It's Denton Johnson Park. We want the Denton Johnson parking lot. It just one of the streets we want to walk over. It's certain things we should have in place already. Not saying let's make laws and block and make harassment or make it tough for people to come to Eatonville, because it's definitely people love coming to Eatonville, enjoying themselves. I was in a park this weekend with Mayor Nelson at the event over there. That's what people do. That's what our people like to do. Go out and hang out. And that's what I like to see in Eatonville. People come here, support, and talk good about Eatonville. So about special events, let's not make laws or try to make it hard for people to come to this community and do things. That's all I have.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out real quick to Miss Gregg. Some of the things that Miss Gregg do, she just does it, and it's gotten to a point that I take it for granted, and especially on the social media. And she puts such a nice light on this town, from the Google, when you Google the town, to Instagram, to Facebook. So I just ask everyone to take a closer look at what she really puts into that. Some of it looks professional, based on what I would do. So, please give her a quick shout out when you see her. City of Orlando had their State of the Downtown today, and I was pleased. It was refreshing to see that some of our things that we're thinking about, that is in there now. Theirs is way more robust than ours, but some of the ideas that Ms. Mundy has brought before us with the resiliency hub and redoing the Denton Johnson area and all of that, it really falls right in line with other more aggressive municipalities are doing. So that was refreshing. Speaking of the resiliency hub, it presents an excellent opportunity to move our town towards sustainability. Sustainability is more than just getting revenue. It's how can we keep our citizens safe? What services that we can provide, and that's what that presents. Prayers to Dr. Johnson and her family, and what she's going through. Condolences to all the families that have lost loved ones. And speaking of customer service, whether it's a storm or whether it's not a storm, customer service has improved, and I do expect it to be, regardless of what someone has going on. If they need a permit, they need a permit. So the service level should be the same, although I do know that expediting that permit now, if you have storm damage, would be important. Commendable job, the before, during, and after for the storm for everyone. And before I became mayor, I only saw the other side, but it's that inside that gets me every time. When y'all come together, y'all are talking, you're sitting around the table, everyone is just highlighting what they're doing. Everyone knows what to do. That's what is shown out there. It's quite impressive to be a part of that. And Vice Mayor, earlier I rushed a vote. I'm apologize for that. I wasn't disrespecting you, and it was a light moment, but I do want to let you know that I do take your input seriously. I do.
I have a question.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I do have a question on that.
You just messed it up. And everybody, please get out and vote.
One thing, one caveat I want to say we need to, as a board of the town, we need to get when the bills due on, if we need to make sure we have that Monday after the due date, not to penalize people for a weekend we're not open. So we need to look at that some type of way. I mean, because I know I deal with state with paying bills, and if such following weekend or holiday is that Monday, they want you to pay that bill, or not, you get $50. So trust me. I mean, I know we can do something, because if the state's knowing that we can do it, so, and especially for our citizens.
Yes.
That, that we're coming here on a Monday to pay their bill, instead of doing Saturday or Sunday. So, okay, I just make sure, because I just had someone to talk to.
Mayor, may I make one announcement, please? Okay, on the 26th of this month, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 o'clock p.m., there's going to be a rally or some sort, for the election coming up. It's a nonpartisan event. It's gonna be held in Edenville at the Unity Credit Union parking lot. So it will be, the chamber as well as Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church coming in to do, voters, information, education, awareness. I think tonight was supposed to have been the amendments. I don't know if they had it or not tonight.
Oh.
Tonight's the 15th, yes. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware, and I believe all the council and mayor will be getting notices about the event.
Yes, so vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion.
Make sure you have a permit, make sure you have a permit for that now.
Is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor for adjournment? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. It is 9:17.
Okay.